How's it going? It's Ethan, or Thick 216, back with another digital drawing. Today is a little bit of a new concept. It's my letters like usual, but each letter is actually going to be in a kind of weird geometric, segmented kind of style. They kind of remind me of like Aztec or Mayan characters in some way. I wasn't really pulling from anything specific when it came to my inspiration for this. I kind of just sat down, started sketching out letters and seeing what happened. So this is just, off the top of the dome, I guess. But, here we are at the very beginning drawing step, just kind of copying down basically from my little notebook that I drew these in. THI and then 2 C's. I think that the double C's in my name gives me a little bit of a challenge for every drawing because I gotta make the C's at least a little different. Otherwise, it just looks a little bland. So, this time around, the first C is kind of like a little happy lizard guy face, 2 eyes, and then the second one I didn't even know what to do, so I went kind of hog wild here. Gave him some very strange slits for eyes. They're like horizontal, one on top, one on the bottom. His mouth is the only one that has curve in it, so he's a little special. I don't know what he is, but the other ones, they all look like actual possible like lizards or something to me, maybe even frogs. This one just looks weird. My cat's always bothering me during these, but in a good way. She just hop on my shoulder or up into my lap at a moment's notice. Sometimes without notice, she'll just appear on my shoulder. I'm glad she's still pretty small, because someday she might not be able to do that anymore. It might be too big. Alright, so I've gotten them all kind of lined up now in the kind of shape and order that I want them in. And then after the draft layer is the kind of like line work layer. I don't know why I just forgot the word line work for a second there. I swear, sometimes when I'm trying to be serious, I just forget all the words. Anyway, for this first letter, I did not understand enough of Photoshop to know that there was a better way to make lines than what I was doing. I knew how to make a good line by, using shift, but I didn't understand that you can, put your pencil down on the screen first and then hold shift and draw, and you can get a very clean horizontal or vertical line, like exactly on the 90 degrees. So this first one was me absolutely struggling to get perfectly parallel and straight lines because I'm a dingus and I didn't know that rule yet, or that tool. I didn't know about that tool yet. So I'm doing all this crazy shenanigans, erasing and cutting back on lines because, I thought I had to do this in kind of like an AutoCAD engineering kind of way, which is just such a incorrect mindset to use. But, you find out as you work through the problem itself, right? So after I kind of fuss around with this for way too long, I'll figure it out eventually. You'll see. There's a moment of epiphany here in my near future. And that's what I'm looking for when I work with these digital tools, is just little realizations that help you work faster and better. Because that's like why we have it in the first place, right? That's why we're not still drawing on pens and paper all day when we can be on the computer using tools to make even crazier stuff even quicker. I wish there was a tool that could keep my hair from becoming messy while I work. I have this habit of playing with my hair while I work on things and while I'm concentrating, so it never looks clean. Not to say it doesn't look clean. The shape of it is never clean. It's always stuff sticking out and around. Especially the front half, the bangs. They never get left alone. Oh, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And sometimes I realize that my hair looks like garbage and I'm like, oh, I should fix that. And then, sometimes I don't even realize. Oh, here it is, the epiphany. I look on my phone. I'm like, there's a better way to do this. I look up the tool. I try out the tool. Boom. Perfect lines. I did have to turn off sticky keys, though, because I was using shift too often. But now, look at this. It's perfect. Beautiful. And did I go back and change the T so that it matched? No, I did not. So the T is a little bit crooked. So that'll be our little secret. No one else will know. Just anyone that's paying attention right now. No one else will know. But as you can probably guess, after learning that I could do this much more efficiently, each character went by at 5 times faster, 5 times the speed of the first letter. I felt like I had found the way, the most important tool I'll ever use, basically. Not really, but it was pretty great finding a shortcut, making my life easier. I just realized this microphone is on the wrong setting. Let's see what happens when I fix it. Hang on. Ooh. Did the audio just magically get better? We'll find out. It's another perk of, I say perk sarcastically, of making content and trying to make it sound good is sometimes you spend 30 minutes setting up for the day and then you realize, oh wait, it's still not right, and I've already started working on it. So we'll see. If the audio is bad, I'll have to re-record, but if not, here we go. Look at how fast the H and the I were. I was just blabbing on about nonsense, and then I finished both of them in less than half the time that I was spending on that stupid T. But obviously, this has its own set of differences, because the lines that are perfectly up and down here are not as parallel or as lined up. I shouldn't say parallel. I should say they're not as in line with the other objects around them as the other technique was. So you're sacrificing a little bit, but not very much. You know what I mean? You kind of have to do what I'm doing here, which is use the lines to make big lines, but then you still have to kind of cut down and erase for them to be really lined up nicely. If only there was a kind of trimming option in these artistic apps like they have in the AutoCAD software where you can take line segments out. That would be cool. Instead of having to erase up to a line, I could just erase between some lines and it would just magically take it all away perfectly. That would be nice. Maybe there's something like that and I just don't know about it. I'll probably find out one day, but I tend to not even look for new options until I'm frustrated by the problem itself, and then I just look for a solution to the problem. Otherwise, I just like jump in. I don't really look at tutorials or anything for how to do stuff. I just wait until I need to be able to do something, and then I figure out if I can solve that problem, I guess. Which is not a fast way to learn anything, by the way. Maybe one day I'll take a look at some tutorials, because every time I look at an official tutorial for Photoshop or anything else, I find something that would save me minutes or hours of my life that I never knew about because I never watched any of the tutorials. I just took like one class in high school and I was like, I'm good. I don't need anything else. So anyway, after we got the letters all set up, we're working on the background. This is just, I figured it would be nice to do a simple kind of quadrant mandala with very simple, blocks. Basically, it looks like squares laid out on top of each other of various sizes, and I know that was not very interesting to say. Okay, it wasn't, but I felt that it fit the look of the characters to just have something simple in the background. But then I figured I would just make it more interesting with the colors later. So you'll see what I do. But speaking of colors, we're on to the coloring, and in typical me fashion, I want to use all the colors, so I made each of the guys a different color of the rainbow except for purple. I saved that for the background. So we've got red through blue. Each one's gonna be like 3 or 4 tones of each. I thought that would look nice, and I hope you agree. If there's one thing that I wish was a little smoother, it is how the paint bucket tool interacts with line work on the same layer. Because I feel like when I use the paint bucket tool, like if I draw a black circle and I try to paint bucket some blue in there, I can zoom in on that rim between the outline and the paint bucket, and I see like a really thin line of pixels that are white still, or very close to white. And I think that's because the software doesn't always have the range it needs to, I guess, identify that some of those pixels, although they're not exactly the same hue, they're still like some of the color I'm trying to wipe out. And I always try to adjust the settings, but it never seems perfect. So I actually prefer to go to a different layer and go like underneath. I just feel like it's cleaner, but it takes a lot longer. Like I feel like I'm drawing in all these rectangles and squares when I could just hit one button, but it wouldn't look nearly as good. You can see some overlays popping up on my screen. I thought I had found another tool. I thought that I could just use the buttons on my display here in tandem with the Photoshop software, but it didn't like it very much. So I might have to adjust some more settings. I feel like this whole project was me trying to like optimize the whole time. Sometimes you need projects like that where you're just looking for solutions. Kind of just an exercise, I guess, as opposed to just doing art to make a good art piece. Sometimes you learn a lot along the way, and sometimes you're just applying what you've learned. Today was just a lot of learning. Dang, that hair is looking good. Oh man. As we speak, my cat is sitting on my shoulder right now. She came over to say hi. Just climbed right on up. I always wanted a cat to like jump up on my shoulder and chill there. She doesn't necessarily chill on my shoulder, but she hangs out. I used to have a cat that I could just plop up there and walk around with him, just hanging. He had some pretty sharp back claws though, so I couldn't keep doing that for very long. Because he would always just kind of like dig his claws in and jump off, but I still liked him being there. Oh my god, did you hear that? That was my cat just full on jumping into the blinds. She was hanging out on my shoulder, and then she's like, I want to go goblin mode and jump into the blinds real quick. Incredible. We're on to the last guy as far as coloring goes. And at this step, I was thinking to myself, I can't wait to go back and clean up all these mistakes and edges. I was getting a little bit antsy towards the end of doing the line work when it came to that blue one. So it's looking a little rough. But that comes later. For now, we're moving on and coloring the background. And my rule for coloring this was to stay in the range of the color spectrum that I had not used for the other ones. So I kind of stayed away from the red-orange palette completely and tried to go more towards the pink-purple-blue range. And it was difficult. I tried to create a couple of like cascading effects with the gradients, which is hard to see now at such a beginning step, but later on you'll see I create some branches that look pretty nice. This is about the time in the stream where my friend Jill joins. I always like it when people are around to talk to while I work. I can interact with them and do stuff with them while I color in these boring blocks. Not that the artwork is boring, but the act gets a little tedious. But you get to watch it come together very slowly, so that's nice. You can break up the tedium by zooming out. seeing how it looks, zoom back in. Because all this is like fill in the blank color block, coloring book kind of stuff right here. It's kind of the reason why I always have something going on in the background, like a TV show or a podcast or music or whatever. Like, being creative can use a lot of brain power, but making art doesn't always. You're just like, oh, okay, I just pick another purple, color in this square, pick another purple, color in this square. Ooh, a different purple, color in this square. So, I like to let my brain wander quite a bit. I like to have things to watch. I've been watching this anime called One Piece recently. It's about pirates. It's pretty good. Pretty good little show. There were some sections where I couldn't decide between going towards the design or the color having more blue in it or more red in it. So there's like some deeper reds and maroons in there that I didn't expect to see, but they showed up and they looked alright. I think I went in and adjusted those later though, because they look a little too deep. This is the part where I was starting to finally be like, oh yeah, that's gonna look good. So I had a couple of branches of color there that I could see when I zoomed out, and those looked real nice. So I tried to just continue that feeling across the rest of the squares, and I tried to imagine them as being like branches out, or maybe even plumes of smoke or something that had groupings together that went together or interacted with the same gradient together in a diagonal type of path. I didn't want it to look random, basically, is what I'm saying. I didn't want it to look random. Another thing that I wish I could do is use the paint bucket tool with the symmetry on, so I could make a mandala or something, or anything with symmetry on it, and not have to go back and do each individual part with the paint bucket if I were to choose. So like if I had it on just, mirror what I draw to the other side, and I draw a circle and it draws a circle on two sides, right? I can't take the paint bucket tool and paint bucket on one circle and have it color the other circle. I wish it was able to do that. I have to do both circles individually. And I feel like theoretically the computing power is there. Maybe I'm the only one who wants that or something. Who knows? Because I would love to, instead of coloring in all of these squares, just paint bucket the squares. But I can't, because if I do that, I have to do all 4 versions of that square, which takes time. So here I am just coloring it in. Maybe one day I'll figure out the solution to this problem I'm having. I don't even know if this is a problem, it's just tedious. I still enjoy it though, don't get me wrong. Ooh, the last couple of squares here. That looks nice. Yeah, that zoom out always. Oof. Alright, I decided to add another element to these characters. So I decided to add some line work highlights along the edges to kind of mimic light glow a little bit. So I pretended that these dudes had a nice glow of light emanating from them, and then I put in details to kind of support the way that looked. Now this blue guy was kind of a test. The blue guy and the red guy kind of got shorthanded, I feel, because the red guy I didn't do the straight lines for. I didn't redo him when I found the tool. And then this blue guy here, like I had the lines going a certain way, and then I completely changed it on the next guy entirely. So I actually did go back and fix the blue guy after seeing that all the other ones had, you know, an improved style basically over what I had done to him. So I, you know, at this point I was really looking forward to cleaning up and fixing some of these details. I felt like I had made a lot of mistakes at this point. Some very visible mistakes. And I was just kind of rushing through these details so I could get to the part where I make it look better. And then in doing so, you know, you sometimes rushing to that step, you create more problems that you have to fix. It's just like, okay, I guess I'll fix it now. I won't wait. Because I'm not gonna lie, the most boring and tedious step is that cleanup step, where you fix all the lines and you fix all the edges. Because at that point you stopped like thinking entirely, and you're just using the monotonous, like, the next detail. Gotta fix that. I used to be an architect type of guy, and that step feels like the red line part where your boss circles all the things you did wrong and asks you to fix it before they send it out. That's what that feels like. And in this step, I gotta say, I let myself get distracted a lot. You know, whenever the cat showed up, I was like, yes, I have to pet you. Whenever the show had an interesting part, I was like, yeah, I gotta watch that. I can't miss that. It's interesting how, you know, my brain acts during different parts of the creative process. And then to kind of make them pop off, I gave a basic shadow to all the figures, all the guys, resized it. I'm getting towards the end here. It's looking pretty good, huh? Still got some things to fix, but it's looking really nice. You know, what's funny is the shadows are just a copy of the guys themselves, and I basically carried over all the small mistakes from those dudes to the shadows. So in some parts I actually had to fix the shadows. Other times I was like, nah, no one will see that. It'll be fine. At this point I just wanted it to be done, you know what I mean? The whole thing had felt like an exercise in a good way, obviously. But I was just like, okay, you know, let's get this homework done. So, thank you. Here's my plug. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please come through to my website at www.thick216.com. All my favorite designs are there. Come through to my Instagram where I have all of my published works. Only bangers on my Instagram. My Redbubble page features all of my best designs on some wonderful merch. All kinds of clothing, mouse pads, hats, anything you can think of. Shower curtains, stickers, laptop cases, phone cases. Here I am displaying a nice hoodie, classic design, a pillow. Who could do without a pillow? Nobody. Everyone needs a pillow. Very soft. We've also got prints. any kind of print you could want: posters, metal prints, framed prints. We've got zipper bags, zipper pouches. Put every pencil, every pen you've ever had in there. Mouse pad, desk pad, game mats. Anything you could think of. I've even got a bath mat and a shower curtain. Also come through to my TikTok, small videos there. And then my YouTube for all my full-length videos. And Fiverr if you want me to make art for you. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope you like the design with these little guys here. I thought they were pretty fun. Check out my website, check out my Instagram, check out everything to find more art that I make. Thank you very much, and have a good night.